Welcome to Marketing in Minutes, where I spend a few minutes breaking down the 20% of things that generate 80% of the results in your painting or concrete coating business. Let's jump in.
All right, today we are going to be talking about your Google business profile. So first, what is it and why it's important? Your business profile is what shows up at the very top of search results when searching for terms like painter near me on Google. This is what helps you acquire some of the highest intent leads. When we're looking at a typical marketing funnel, the very top is awareness and interest. That's what you're typically going to find on places like social media. And at the very bottom is going to be Google leads, word of mouth, referral, repeat business. These are buying today's leads today. Now, when we look at Google search results, they're made up of a few big components. The very, very tippy top is going to be your local services ads. This is a pay per lead advertising channel. Now, these ads are directly correlated to your business profile, which shows up usually in position 2 or 3, depending on if there's any pay per click advertising. They typically shove those in between these two. So when we're looking at your map pack here, these are what you cannot pay to get into. These are what are called the organic rankings. We consider these an exponential lead source. The better you rank here, the more leads you can expect, and you don't pay for these leads. So let's dive into the nuances of this profile and talk about the most important ranking factors, what are called primary ranking factors, the secondary ranking factors, the things that you can do that might help with results or click-through rates, but ultimately are more or less going to be a waste of time. And then the myths around the things that you should do that don't actually move the needle. So let's jump in. First, if you do not have a business profile, the best way to do this is to go Google business profile. Click on the first link there, click start now, fill out the form, and get that profile up and running. That is the number one thing you can do today. Now, once you have your profile up and running, it's not going to do very much for you. And that's because there are some major ranking factors that we need to account for. The first is going to be proximity. So how close are you, based on either the target service area you defined or the address that you've entered, to the person searching? Think of this as if you are searching for a Chinese food restaurant. Google doesn't want to show you 15 restaurants that are 50 miles away. They want to show you the top 3 that are within 5 to 10 miles. So if you put a pinpoint in the map and you draw a radius around that, typically we can rank that profile about 5 to 10 miles within a dense populated urban area. If you see a lot of this white on a map, that is going to be urban areas. Now, as you get out here into some of these green areas, that is going to be more forest areas that we can typically rank that a little further. Now, this is all relative to competition. So if you've got a bunch of competition out here, we tend to consolidate that radius. We've had some profiles ranking as far as 30 to 50 miles away, but that's generally going to be because there's just less competition out there. So the important thing is do not compare your results to your friends in a different market. These numbers are all relative. The second most important ranking factor is going to be your reputation. So what we look at here is not only the number of reviews, but the frequency at which you capture reviews. We're going to talk more about reviews here in a moment. If you notice, this is one of our clients, Mountain West Painting. They are actually outranking some of their competitors with more reviews. And that's simply because they've acquired more reviews in the recent past compared to that competition. So let's talk more about some of the other nuances of these profiles and how you can determine what to invest your time and energy to. So first, primary ranking factor, name, address, phone number. This is called NAP consistency, and this is one of the most important things that you need to make sure that are dialed in on this profile when you first set it up. Very simply, your name is your business name. That must match what's on legal documentation associated with your business. Google is now taking measures to actually verify this information. So they're going to ask you typically for 2 forms of business documentation. It's going to include a recurring and non-recurring form of documentation. The recurring is going to be things like a cell phone bill, a lease on a property. These are things that you receive in the mail typically once a month or once a quarter. Now, the important part is that you have your business name, the address, and the phone number on there. And that document must match what's on your profile here. The second form of documentation, what's called a non-recurring form of documentation. These are going to be things that are a little more difficult, such as articles of incorporation or an insurance document that you might only receive once a year or once every couple years, depending on your renewal rate. Again, this must all match. Now, when we talk about NAP consistency, we're not only talking about paper and digital, we're also talking about digital on the profile and how that matches up with your other profiles online. So when you're Googling things like your business name, any mention of that phone number, business name, or address should be consistent. Now, there are a few nuances here that you guys need to be aware of. First is going to be your phone number. And the important part to understand here is this does not have to match because we have what are called secondary numbers. So if we edit your profile, click on phone number, we can actually add additional phone numbers here. The primary phone number is the one that shows up on your profile. Secondary numbers should be added to match anything else that you might have online. So why is this important? Let's say that you have a call tracking number on your website. That's going to differ than a call tracking number you may have on your business profile. We want to track where these leads are coming from. So we don't want to just put the same phone number there, or else we can't tell the difference of somebody calling in from your website or from your business profile. So what you need to do is simply add in the phone number from your website to the business profile as an additional phone number. This goes for any other phone number you may have on additional profiles that Google can search, whether that be on Meta or anywhere else online. So be sure that if you can search for your business name, a phone number is listed there, that you are adding these as additional numbers so Google can keep track of that. You are limited to 2, so keep in mind that if you have multiple call tracking numbers, pick the priorities. Google's smart enough to recognize that call tracking numbers are a part of life. They will actually replace your primary phone number with a call tracking number of their own. That's not in your control. So keep that in mind. Phone number consistency is important to an extent. Now let's move on to the address. This is something that a lot of people struggle with. Getting an address verified is no longer as easy as it used to be. We used to be able to throw an address on here and call it a day. It could be a residential, commercial, shared office space. It was not an issue. Over the last couple of years, Google has dedicated a ton of time and energy into verifying these addresses. The reason for that is they were trying to cut back on spam. This is an AI-proof marketing channel. So in the future, even if Google search results become cannibalized by AI summaries, these profiles will still hold weight. Now, let's talk through what makes an address important, or what's an address that we can actually verify. Number one, it needs to be a commercial address, or an address that somebody can come visit. Again, think of this as a restaurant. Google wants to make sure that if they're going to list your business in search results, that somebody can show up at your property and have an experience there, whether they're purchasing a product, having a color consultation, or just sitting down to understand your process. Now, there are some gray areas here. Google's not going to go out to your property and make sure that somebody can show up, but they will typically do what's called a video verification request. They will actually have you get on a Zoom call with them or a Google Meets call and show them your property, making sure that it matches what's on Google Maps. And they also want to make sure that you have permanent signage either on your property, on the door, or on the office space itself. Again, there are ways around this. You can go actually create a physical sign, tape it to your door temporarily if you need to get that thing verified. If you are listed as a service area business, you do not hold as much weight as those with an address. It's because Google still has not adjusted their algorithm to support those with a service area. You will still see them listed here from time to time, but addresses still hold more weight. Now, if you do not have a commercial address, you're struggling to get your address verified, my recommendation is to look at potentially acquiring a virtual address. We use a service called DaVinci Virtual. This by no means is a slam dunk, but it's an opportunity. The way that you do this is you're simply going to search for an office in your area. We're then going to verify that this address does not exist in Google, or if it does, it doesn't have 15 businesses attached to it. So we're simply just going to Google that address. And if you notice here, we have 3 other businesses in the same area. Now, if we click on these profiles, we can see that it's Suite 150, Suite 300 to 338, and there's no suite on this one. So what that means is as long as they assign you a suite number, you can likely rank using that virtual address. Now, you are going to be using this for your business profile. You might need to show up in person to get that verified. So just be sure to have that conversation with them ahead of time just to make sure there's no issues with that. Okay, so we've established some primary ranking factors, which are going to be your name, address, phone number, making sure that your business name, your address, and your phone number matches all other digital profiles online. The second primary ranking factor are going to be the categories that you list for your business. So if we click on Edit Profile, you will see business categories here. Now, we do not want to spam this field. All right, so the first category that you should always select as a painter is painter. Additional categories are going to be relevant if and only if you offer them as a service. So be sure that we're not going in here and adding a ton of additional categories. You can actually negatively impact your profile if you game or spam this system. Next, let's talk about your description. Your description is simply to provide your audience with information about your business. These are not ranking factors. Keyword stuffing this does not help you. In fact, it can actually hurt you. So simply just describe your business. I recommend using AI to help you summarize that to make your life a little easier. Now, as we scroll down here, you're going to notice there's a bunch of other fields. The goal with this profile is to fill out as much of this information as you can, including things like service areas, even if you have an address listed here. Things like hours of operation, anything to do with, women-owned, for instance. These are all things that can help, but we consider these secondary ranking factors. So the goal is to fill out your profile in its fullest form and being as accurate as possible. Now, let's jump back to the second most important ranking factor. That is going to be reviews. Your reputation online is one of the most important signals to Google as to where that profile should rank. It also dictates how much you're going to spend for local services ads if you get those up and running. We're going to create a whole separate video for that to talk you through how to get that going. Now, a few things about reviews. The first is anything less than 4.7 star rating puts you in a different bucket within Google's eyes. If you have less than 4.7 stars, you will not rank as high as anybody above 4.7 stars. 4.7 to 4.9, it's all the same bucket, does not matter. However, we do recommend getting as close to 5 stars as you can. Do not be deterred by a negative review. The best thing you can do is respond to every single review. Don't lie, don't defend yourself if somebody posts a negative review. Just simply respond, recognize any drop balls, leave your cell phone number if you can, and make sure that you address the situation with the facts. Your goal there, again, is not to be defensive, just to provide value and help those understand who might be reading that review that, hey, you took ownership, you're willing to make it right. This person might just be a little crazy. The number of reviews is just as important as the frequency of reviews. So if we have 200 reviews on Google, we've had some of our clients with only 50 reviews outranking them simply because they've acquired more of those reviews in the more recent past than their competition. So the goal here is to acquire at least 1 new review per week. If you can do that on every week of the year or on 90% of the jobs you complete, you're going to be capturing about 50 plus reviews a year. That cadence is generally going to outpace your competition. Now, according to Google, which is a black box, they do evaluate this every 90 days. It's a rolling calendar year on a quarterly basis. So this typically takes a couple weeks for them to complete, and you still can see shifts throughout the quarter, but the major shifts generally happen 4 times a year on the first of each quarter. Now, not all reviews are created equal. What we are looking for here are reviews that contain names of your team, the services that you offered, and images. If you can convince your customer to leave you a review with an image, that holds more weight than anything else. Keep in mind, text on a review is much better than just 5 stars. This allows Google to actually scan the content. They recognize exactly what you did for them. They love seeing things like great job, thank you for your service. And more importantly, it's the response from the owner. This is a ranking factor. I recommend personalizing the response. Don't just say thanks for the review. Recognize something that you offered for them. If they didn't call out the service specifically, that's your opportunity to plug a keyword in there. Be thoughtful with those responses. Don't just copy and paste the same generic response each and every time. So how do you get more reviews on your business profile anyway? Well, we created a free resource. If you go to basecoatmarketing.com/reputation, you can swipe and deploy our review capture script into your final project walkthrough. The best time to capture a review is before you walk off the job. Now, the third most important primary ranking factor is going to be media. We recommend uploading media at least once a month. Now, let's talk about what moves the needle and what does not. We recommend building content creation into your SOPs. When you're out on an estimate, doing a final project walkthrough, be sure that you have designated spots on that checklist to actually go create the before image. Don't forget about the before. It's really, really important. A lot of guys take the afters and they forget about the before. So the more images that you can capture of quality that we can upload on these profiles, the better visibility you're going to get. Also, keep in mind, human faces sell. Google, your audience, they love to see human faces, not just painted walls. So don't be afraid to take pictures with your team, upload personal family photos. If you got a picture with a dog or a pet, people love animals, upload that as well. Okay, let's talk about secondary ranking factors. These are not going to be as important as the primary. So if you want to think of the 80-20 rule, these are going to be about the 80% of things that you can do to generate 20% of your results. Primary ranking factors are the opposite. They're the 20% that generates 80% of your results. So always invest your time into those first 20%. Secondary ranking factors are going to include things like posts. Now, we post on our client's profile a couple times a month. These are more to keep the profile active. The terms that we put in here, the frequency at which we post, do not generate results directly. Again, this is strictly to increase engagement. The second thing is going to be Q&A. Now, these can be helpful if people are asking questions. But if they're not asking questions, don't try to go spam this part of the profile. These will not help you if you're asking this from the same profile over and over and over again. Google is smart enough to recognize that you're just trying to game the system. The third thing is going to be products. Now, these are things that we typically fill in, but again, they are not a direct ranking factor. It's something that if we recommend creating a product for the services you offer, but don't put a ton of time and energy into them outside of that. Google will use your categories over these products 10 out of 10 times. Okay, now let's talk about myths. These are things that people think might generate results on their business profile. They invest the time and energy, but at the end of the day, they actually don't do anything. The first is going to be geotagging images. If you are wasting time geotagging your metadata for each image before you upload them, that does not do anything for your profile. There is a ton of research out there around this. You're wasting your time, just don't do it. The second is going to be keyword stuffing your profile or your business name or anything else in the profile that gives you the option to add text. Don't keyword stuff. It just doesn't work anymore. Google can actually penalize your profile if you try. Just be real, tell your audience what you do, why you're different, rely on the algorithm to perform. Third thing is going to be fake reviews. Do not spam these reviews. Do not go out and pay somebody on Fiverr to have you leave a bunch of reviews online. It will not work, and again, it can penalize your profile. Let's say that you're new and you're trying to jumpstart your reputation online. You don't have a lot of reviews. What can you do? Well, the first thing you can do is go ask your friends, your family, your neighbors to go online and leave you a character review. They don't have to lie. They can go say, hey, Joe is a great business owner. We highly recommend working with him. They didn't lie in that statement. You could likely be a great business owner. Just have them go leave you a review. They don't have to say that you painted their house or anything like that. The more reviews you can capture, the better your profile is going to rank. It is a flywheel effect. But again, don't spam. Third thing is going to be overposting. So when we look at these posts, just post a couple times a month. That's all you need to do. Again, this is strictly to increase engagement, visibility, takes up some additional space in search results, but do not expect these to generate results. If you're paying somebody to generate more than a couple posts a month, you're wasting your money. And the final myth, and this is the worst possible thing you can do, is creating multiple business profiles in one geographic area. Just don't do it. You are risking your entire business. There are ways to create multiple business profiles that actually make sense. Generally speaking, if you have multiple areas outside of a 60-mile radius, or if one service area would never go into another market and you have that market available, that is a reason to create a secondary business profile. There's a reason that franchises, such as 5-Star Painting, CertaPro, and Freshcoat, that they hold on to those profiles. It's because they are very, very difficult to get up and running. And more so, once you have them up and running and that reputation's built, they are worth their weight in gold. If you try to game the system by creating multiple business profiles in one area, even if you have legitimate addresses for that, Google can still submit what's called a re-verification request, where they'll suspend all of your business profiles, make you re-verify all of them. And if that happens, let's say in the spring, where the season gets really busy, that can take out your entire business. It can cut you out at the knees. It's just not worth it. Now, if you take one thing away from this video, I hope it's that you guys all go create a business profile and start building your reputation. That is the most important thing you can do today. Without that, we don't have a foundation to stand on. If you are interested in identifying where your profile stacks up in search results, we've actually linked to a free tool. Just go to basecoatmarketing.com/local. You can plug in a few pieces of information here, click open, and it'll actually search in your target service area with that particular search term. If you search for painter near me, let's say 10 miles away from where you currently reside, the results will be different. So this allows you to go see exactly where you stack up in the results. If you guys have any questions about any of this, do not hesitate to reach out to our team. Just go to basecoatmarketing.com. We're here to help.
Now, if you're looking for more free, actionable resources like this, head on over to basecoatmarketing.com/learn. And we're very open to feedback. So if we haven't covered a topic or if there's someone you're looking for us to interview, let us know. Now, it's time to go take action. You know what to do. Go do what you know.